Hey, how's everybody doing? Okay, so I'm going to be making a couple of videos here to kind of, give you some feedback, lead you through your capstone experience a little bit. I think one of the best things about being a psychology major is being in capstone. I mean, here you are, you're given an opportunity to synthesize what you're learning, to dig deeply into your experience, and I mean, ultimately, you'll be taking the major field test. And, I think you guys are going to be absolutely incredible when you start to be able to study this material, as you can see here on March 12th. And I left us a little room so you can get a feeling for what your capstone is, to be contemplative, to start to open your mind up to the grander picture of having done a psychology degree. Um, I'm going to look at the Savvy Psychology major. That's what Dr. Pope suggested that we use. I might use a different text at a different time, but that's kind of our beginning textbook, and I like it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I'll get some feedback from you at the end of the semester if this was the best way to go. But I like the first chapter, and I like to talk about these topics a little bit with you. So I'm going to kind of breeze through looking at chapter one with you, and I'll just get to that in a minute. In the meantime, you can see that there are going to be quizzes across the spectrum of what the test is actually about. I looked up the major field test, the topics. This is what it covers: learning, memory, cognition, sensation, so on and so forth. So you're going to be pros there. You'll take it as many times as you want until you score a 90. And I think it's important that you get your score up to a 91. It helps to build your grade for the course by putting that effort in. Two, when you sit down to take the major field test, you're going to feel familiar with the materials there. All right, let me take a look at what else we have in the course. Now, for the discussions, because it's the first time we're teaching it, uh, I've put these chapters related to the textbook and asked you to kind of start digging into thinking. And you have started. I wrote one post, as you can see, this little Carla Bloom post there. I will be back in there and later today and give you some more feedback. Okay, so while we're sitting here, I'll just put us back on the course homepage, and I don't think I have anything in particular super interesting for me to put there while I'm talking. Maybe I'll just put this little sample major field test. Let me just take a minute or minute and a half and look at chapter one. So, the definition of psychology. It's funny to me as I think about that. Is your definition the same as when you entered a psych major? Has it changed over the course of the time that you've been in the program? I know that when we designed, Dr. Hambright and I and a couple other people designed the psychology major back when Dr. Hepburn was our president. Both of us felt it was important for it to be a very eclectic psychology degree, that you studied social psych, community psych, developmental, um, and had your research methods and had a variety of classes. So when you applied to graduate school, you looked like strong students. And two, if you're going to go on and get a job, you have a working vocabulary and a knowledge really across a wide spectrum that I guarantee you will be helpful as you start to leave here and to go other places in your careers. So, what I do like about this chapter is this definition of critical thinker. Probably what I'm going to do is just look those over for our talk right now. They seem to be the most important part of the chapter to me. So it's very difficult. It's very easy to say you want people to be critical thinkers, but I think much more difficult to actually define it. Yet here we have a definition. Retention. Can you remember the material? If you've taken classes with me, I think retention is due to repetition, and repetition has to do with studying, restudying, and talking, looking up information, um, working with other people, and the more conversations and ways you think about something, I think we have a very almost strange misinterpretation of how one is retentive of material. And I think the misinterpretation is, well, you have to use all your senses, as if learning is embedded within you. You have to look at it, you have to, I don't know, smell it, you have to touch it, you have to write it with your hands, you have to type it. And while all of that might be true, I've added on the social dimension. I think that we learn in social ways. When we were children, we learned through other people teaching us, not asking us to sit and to contemplate in different ways by ourselves. So I might differ from some other educators, but I'm completely, in my opinion, convinced we're social creatures when we learn. Comprehension, sure. How am I supposed to help you to grasp meanings of psychological concepts? Some of that is done through lecture, and some of that is takes time. It might take you 2, 3 years to grasp something very difficult, and that is normal. We forget that learning takes a lot of time sometimes. Application, other real life applications. Certainly with psychology majors, we do this constantly. If you're taking environmental psychology with Dr. Cully, she's going to say, here's a real life application. Let's look at this community. If you're taking social psychology with Dr. Manahan, tons of real life application. Taking developmental with me. I'm giving you examples. If you know me, I'm telling you stories all the time to help you to have a real life application. Your ability to analyze. Can you analyze? So in the textbook says the 3 components of the personality according to Freud, but to explain how they interact with our personalities. So can you analyze it? Can you self-analyze? Can you be analytical about the material that you're given? And I think my favorite one is kind of synthesis. Synthesis to me is a form of critical thinking that so original and unique. When you synthesize something, this is completely your head, right? This is how I will synthesize this material. I want to put these ideas together and braid them into a tight rope of an idea to support, a conclusion, to, develop a program, to be intellectual, and evaluation. So the ability to judge the value of material for a given purpose. We're in the age of information evaluation, as you know. What is a fact? What are alternative facts? How are we supposed to parse through all the material that's been recently in the news? What have you taken from your psychology degree to do that? It's just absolutely vital from now on to be able to tell if something is related and rooted in what we could at least hope we could still have a sense of reality. And how do you do that? How do you teach that? Are there certain sources you can always go to? What if someone puts a source down? How do you defend that source? So if somebody puts down, I don't know, like let's pretend someone tried to put down Galileo, your database for the University of Georgia system. Someone said, you can't go to Galileo, you can't trust those articles. What would you say to show that trust is in fact something that can be had in Galileo? What vocabulary do you use? Really starts to make you think about things that maybe we haven't taken on fully. It's part of your education, and I think responsibility to take on all those parts of critical thinking. And when someone asks you, how are your critical thinking skills? I want you to be able to say, well, I think I could define critical thinking in these 6 ways. And man, would you be impressive when you start taking them off in your fingers and talking about each one individually. Okay, I hope you're having a great day. You are my capstone students. You are precious and important, and I'm going to be working with you all semester. This is our little kickoff here. If you haven't yet, try to get a ukulele. We're going to need it in order to, later in the semester, in order to connect it to how one learns. And really, our ukulele, learning to play the ukulele is going to be tightly woven into your concluding ideas about human services and how to translate your struggles and your learning into the greater world of people that you'll be moving into soon. All right, well, 10 minutes. Here you go. Thank you for listening, and all is well. Take good care.